Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about the latest state case against phony electors, this one in Wisconsin. And most significantly, it's against Ken Chesebro, who was intimately involved in all of this stuff. And in fact, from Wisconsin, that's his base of operations and a sort of local you may recall him. He's the former Harvard Law School research assistant for Larry Tribe, who went way Trumpy, and in particular is considered the architect of the phony elector scheme, culminating in the supposed power, which power doesn't exist, and the vice president refused to exercise it, of Mike Pence to open the ballots on January 6th and actually declare who won, notwithstanding the actual elector certificates. Okay, so in Wisconsin, we have now the indictment for forgery, one count each of forgery against Chesebro, campaign operative Michael Roman, and a lawyer in Wisconsin that Chesebro is working with named Jim Trupus. And there's a whole in the complaint lays out a whole series of memos and email traffic, and basically Chesebro hatching the plan and trying also to have it get purchased in the 5 other states, which it does through the offices in part of Boris Epshteyn, actually. So it's really interesting how the case arose, or how they got kind of caught. Recall, Chesebro has been pretty quick to try to cooperate, and maybe that has to do with finances, or maybe it's his strategy, but he quickly pleaded guilty in Fulton County and agreed supposedly to cooperate. And he also, in Wisconsin, there was a complaint filed with the Wisconsin Electoral Commission by a number of Democrats and against him and others in the Republican kind of elite there for this conduct. And the case was settled, but as part of the settlement, all kinds of emails and drafts and the like were turned over to the Wisconsin AG. And it's those papers, in fact, that have formed the basis of the charges that were brought today. So we have, in the pretty lengthy complaint, a whole chronological recitation of a lot of emails and drafts and the like from Chesebro. And then in particular, there's a discussion of whether or not the unappointed electors should somehow hedge their bets, as they did in Pennsylvania, critically, to say that they're the unappointed electors in waiting, or depending on how courts rule and the like, rather than the bare assertion. And in Wisconsin, with Chesebro's knowledge, they went for the bare assertion. Here's what they wrote in the sort of critical forgery. On December 14th, the same day prescribed by state law for the actual electors to meet, and the actual electors did meet in the state capitol, and they were the appointed electors. The unappointed electors, the phony Republicans, had a certificate. We, the undersigned, being the duly elected and qualified electors for president and vice president, do hereby certify. We convened and organized at the state capitol. I believe they were actually in the curtilage, sort of in the area, because they had no official role to play, but they were in front. The Wisconsin State Capitol actually looks a lot like the U.S. Capitol, big and beautiful, and there's grounds in front. That being so assembled and duly organized, we proceeded to vote by ballot, first for president and vice president, and here are our votes for president. Donald Trump, surprise vice president Mike Pence, and not a word to be seen about this is contingent, or this is our good faith belief, or this is in case the courts rule for us, so we're ready to be nimble. Nothing like that, just the flat false assertion that's a blatant forgery. And so now, having cooperated in this previous elector commission lawsuit and having turned over all this material, Chesebro looks to me to be in quite a tough spot, because the paper record alone, as it goes in lengthy fashion from top to bottom, really is extremely damning. So we'll see what happens. Now Wisconsin now joins other states, Arizona and Michigan, and of course Fulton County itself, where the local authorities were a little bit late on the dime, but they nevertheless have come forward. There were 9 electors, and then they kind of enlisted a 10th at the very day of December 14th. They're not charged, and presumably they're going to be important witnesses. But the dynamic of these cases is different from the federal ones, and always interesting, because you have big shot political figures in the states where they're from who don't want to be looking to Trump for their futures. They want a future, but it's not going to be with Trump. In other words, they are really ready-made to be very powerful witnesses against the Trumpites, first and foremost Chesebro, who did this. And so likely they're going to be cooperating witnesses, and between them and the documentary record, it's quite a overwhelming case, it looks to me, from at first glance, against Ken Chesebro, not to mention Michael Roman and the third Wisconsin lawyer, all felony counts for forgery. A little hard to say. As always, when you see, you could get up to, and a big figure is named, the 6 years is provided in the statute, but it's, what they would likely receive will probably become clear in the subsequent days, and they'll have their initial appearance and the like. Chesebro, if it's, like the other cases, may not really be in a position to mount a defense, both because of the money and because he's sort of dead to rights. So we'll see whether he pleads guilty, but I think any plea would require him to really give it all up against everybody, including figures who aren't part of the Wisconsin, conspiracy, but really more broadly in the whole country, because he is the guy who supplies Eastman with the January 6th plan, and is really involved very broadly in the whole crazy get Mike Pence to violate the 12th Amendment plan that went awry, but barely, because Pence wouldn't go along. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.